Welcome to your daily writing habit, episode number 155. If you're writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book, but you're having a little trouble finishing it, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., INK. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have learned that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and that can actually turn someone who doesn't really consider themselves a writer into one. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's inspirational quote. If you can't annoy somebody, there's little point in writing. Kingsley Amis. That speaks about critics and trying to please all your readers all the time versus having a target audience. I think that's a great lesson right there. If you can't annoy somebody, there's little point in writing because we have a little bit of attitude as writers. So this week I have been sharing with you my top 10 writer productivity tips. This is from a blog post I did for a business friend of mine, Megan McIntosh, back in 2016. So I've kind of taken them and added my little today's spin and what I've learned since then about each one. So here are, and we're actually up to the final two in our series. So be sure and check out the recent episodes of Your Daily Writing Habit to get all of them. I'll also put a link to the complete guest blog post in the show notes. First tip, end at a good starting point. And this is, I think, possibly my favorite writing fundamental tip of all time. Make it as easy as possible for your future self, your future writer self, to dive back into your writing project by forcing yourself to stop in the middle of a creative role. Now, this might sound a little sadistic. Wow, I'm really cooking with gas. I'm writing some awesome stuff. This is great. And stop. Yeah, that sounds awful, but trust me, if you can find a stopping place in the middle of a role, in the middle of a flow, it's so much easier to get started again, after whether it's your lunch break or especially, what if you come back to your writing project after several months and the last thing you did was, you finished a chapter in a nice tidy little bow and it was the end of a role and it was fantastic or whatever. It's so much harder to start at the beginning of a brand new chapter. It's just, like the flywheel thing, trying to push it into motion and push the, boulder up the hill from scratch, where once you get it going, if you kind of keep that energy and by stopping in the middle of your role, so stopping in the middle of your writing flow, it's kind of like the flywheel is continuing to go even without your presence. Hopefully that makes sense. So even if you're not sitting there working on your project, if you stop in the middle of that energy will be there when you get back. So it won't be as difficult to get the flywheel to go into motion. And hopefully everybody understands that. It's a classic kind of some kind of science, I'm sure, physics concept about the flywheel, how it takes all that initial amount of energy to get it going. And then once you get it going, it keeps going. So that's the best way I can describe kind of the, energetic flow that happens when you're writing, and how to preserve that is to stop while it's still going. And my final tip, writer productivity tip, push through the terror. Now, the ability to write is a talent, but it's also a responsibility, and it's a privilege, that we can do it and so many others cannot. It's especially important to remember all this, especially when writing is hard. Anything worth doing is occasionally hard to do. Sometimes it's more than occasionally hard to do. We all know that as writers, as creators. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it sucks. Modify that a little bit. I would say most of the time it's fun. Even like the challenges are fun. I mean, it's a pretty cool thing that we're gifted with, being able to do this. So no matter what, whether it's hard, easy, fun, sucky, whatever, do it anyway. That's where the mental discipline, this is something I've talked a lot about recently in, recent episodes of this, having grit and a game plan and mental toughness. And you hear me saying these expressions, and that's what it is. I mean, you think of, the most elite athletes on the planet. They love what they do. They have so much passion, but, the fun has to, overtake the tough part, but they also at the same time need to have the mental toughness to get through the sucky days so that they can get to the fun. So I have an expression, fight through to the fun. And that's where the mental toughness and the discipline and just that kind of mindset, I'm going to finish this book no matter what, and another thing I've been talking about on recent episodes is having a strong attachment to your why. For me, a why, knowing why, not the letter Y, knowing why I'm doing something, the why behind book project, that sometimes is what I dig deep into for that mental toughness when things are really hard. Why am I writing this book? Why does that need to get done? That's where personally I get my grit and mental toughness from. So stick to your strategies, picture your readers. The hard parts will always pass. I guarantee it. Believe in your talent, believe in your passion, and above all, keep writing. And that is it for my top 10 writer productivity tips. I hope you've enjoyed this series. And I would love to hear from you in my Inc. Authors group on Facebook, where I offer motivation, accountability, book writing and publishing resources, and more. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I'm helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And if you know someone else who wants to do the same, please help them out and let them know about Your Daily Writing Habit. Until tomorrow, happy writing.